Greetings, everyone. Happy Saturday to you. How are you? I hope you are doing well. Greetings, everyone in the chat room. Thank you so much for sharing your time. I definitely appreciate it. Today will be the ladies' panel. As I'm speaking, I'm the only lady here, but that's okay. I do have a couple of videos to share, and I'll get the conversation started that way. Now, as far as doing this, I'll mention it one more time. No worries. I Something happened to me. I just lost it when I had reported the news article about Lieutenant Nazario. When he was pepper sprayed, and that was just unnecessary. It did something to me. It really did. It just shook me. And I said, you know what? We have all these guys have a lot of time to stream. I'm going to pick a few guys that I think that will be willing to help, that have a passion, to see if we can come up with something that can save us. And you have to put yourself in it. It happens to women. It may not happen as often. It may not be recorded, but it does happen. That's a fact. And you should care enough for your people, because you have family. Normally, people have family, whether it's an uncle, a brother, a cousin, someone, father. So there's someone. So you can't tell me you don't have a male figure somewhere in your life that you care about. And if you don't, okay, maybe not. That wouldn't be for you. But I just needed a few guys that I think I could pull together and that would be willing and caring enough to do something boots on the ground. So I got that started, and we will be meeting on occasion, and we will see how that goes. The goal is to have cameras. That way, everything is filmed. You just don't know how important it is to have film. We see how we're disregarded even having film, but at least if you have that, that can help. And I find that to be important. Now, I always play a commercial on the way out about Keep the Beat. And I don't play the commercial about On the Beat, which is the show that I do with DJ Music. And I've been doing that over a year. And on that show, he pulls different news articles and stuff, and that's what we talk about. He runs that, whatever he picks. So I'm learning about things that's going on, because he does more Facebook searching than I do. It's very seldom I see something on Facebook, so I don't know what's happening. And I'll look, if it's something that's interesting to me, I'll look and go see what it is that he was talking about. And to be doing that for an entire year, you realize how much you hear, and you'd be surprised how it will affect you. You'll hear a story this month, may skip a couple of months, and then you hear several stories about person shot, person sleeping shot, wrong house, pulled over, don't know what happened, just all kind of stories. So all that adds up. So I think I just had my breaking point when it came down to the show that I do here, the article reaction with Lieutenant Nazario. That just did it for me. The videos that I have today to show, I'll give my opinion about it. There are some things I think that officers just should not have the power to do. It should be another source, um, because it makes no sense. It just makes no sense to me. So let me go ahead and start one of the first videos. Let's see here. Um, let's see. Oh, you know what I'm going to show first? I got something I want to show you first. Greetings, how are you? Share. Hope you're
Hello.
doing well. How are
Here
you?
we go. Hello, hello. Good evening. Sorry, we were having some technical difficulties, but it's all been arranged, and I'm here. Okay.
No worries. I was given my intro, and then I'm about to share. This is just a picture. I just wanted to bring this up because
Okay.
this has something to do with what has happened. When I did the story about Lieutenant Nazario, a few days later, this young man, and his channel is No Life Shack, he did a video on his channel showing that, talking about his encounter with the police because he
Mhm.
had a new car and everything, his tags, he had everything he needed to have. But of course, the officer lied and said he did an illegal turn, but there was no turn.
Hmm.
He just come out the car wash and you just follow the road, whether the
Mhm.
road curves right or left. I think he said the curved road um, curved on left.
Mhm.
So they're going to say he did an illegal turn. So he
Hmm.
knew it was something. It's just driving white black. He already knew it was a expensive new car, and that was his stop. Now, with the encounter, he is a licensed gun owner,
Mhm.
and he had his gun in his glove compartment. He had all his papers and everything. But it started off with, of course, the lie. This is the reason why I stopped you.
Mhm.
Um, I think I smell marijuana. Can I search your car? Get out the car, all that kind of stuff. And this young man survived. And I was just so glad about
Oh,
that,
good.
you know? So
Mhm.
when the following Saturday came for the article reaction, I was just heated. I was just so
Mhm.
heated because I'm
Mhm.
like, he might not have made it. He might not. And
Mhm.
he had just proposed to his girlfriend. And in
Mhm.
the picture I'm showing here, this is from last week, he just bought a house from his
Oh,
girlfriend. That means this event would not have happened
right.
because
Yeah.
of some police. The first year they start off lying.
Mhm.
And that what made me so angry. He's a 20-some-year-old, just like Lieutenant Nazario is.
Right.
And we
Yep.
know how these encounters can end.
Every time.
So that's why I wanted to show. So that really just really did it to me as far as the desire to do something. I can report on it, but can I do something? And I thought about it, yes, but it's going to take men. So
Mhm.
that's why I said, hey, let me reach out to some that I hear the passion that they have,
Yeah.
and let's get it done. We can do it. I'll help you.
Yep. I think, part of the issue is also focus. You know, uh, uh, and the reason why I say that is because I think some focus has been lost because you do have this segment of the younger people coming up who, I don't know, they think we live in like a post-racial society or something. And, they think these are one-off situations or because it hasn't happened to them yet, that person probably did do something wrong. And, they don't even really look at the footage and whatever. And so then the issue becomes almost battling them into believing reality versus just staying on message and staying on the point and staying on the fight because you can't force people to open their eyes and see reality if they're desperate not to see it. And I'm talking about our own people here, right? I'm talking
Yeah.
about our own people who are desperate not to see this, desperate not to go to sleep, and wake up in the morning and be scared to step out of their houses, to be scared to
Mm.
be driving down the street, who are in denial that when they see those lights behind them, they're in denial that their heart jumps. They're in denial that their stomach clenches, or they're saying, "Oh, that happens to everyone." It doesn't. Not the same way. It doesn't, right?
Mm.
Normal people are scared of, "Oh man, I can't afford no $200 ticket right now," right? Everyone but us. That's what they're thinking about. We're scared. We don't. We just want the ticket. Please give me the $300 ticket. Please let this be all that it is, right? We're scared of
Right.
all kinds of other things. We're scared of random things you're gonna say that aren't really wrong. We're scared of brutality. We're scared of violence happening to us. Like, I learned a long time ago, and I don't even live in the States. And I learned a long time ago that if I see those lights come on while I'm pulling over, before the cars even stop, I'm
Hmm.
already looking for my registration and my insurance and my driver's license, because all that's going to be in my hand when they get near my car. You're not going to see me having to reach for nothing. I learned that a long time ago, right? Because as soon as you start moving, even here, they get antsy. That
Oh
one,
boy.
right? Well, my white girlfriends, though, when they were sitting there searching, they'll practically turn around in their seat and crawl into the back looking for stuff. The cop is just like, "Oh, you need to keep a cleaner car, man." But they don't start reaching for guns. They don't start resting hands on tasers, right? But when I move, right, when someone who
Hmm.
has our complexions move, they start getting antsy. It's a scary time.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Let me see. I invited three other ladies. I don't know if they're coming. I haven't heard any confirmation from one young lady. She just told me to email her, keep her abreast of things. I've done that, and I'm not sure where anyone else is, but I do have two videos. If you have any videos, that'll be great, and we can discuss it. So it might turn into a sort of a article reaction.
Okay. I mean, I have a story. Because I thought, I don't know, I was kind of going by, like, the men's panel last week. So I was like, okay, well, if you have personal stories, so I'm like, I have so many. Some that directly happened to me, some that happened to family members and whatever. So I was like, okay, well, I could tell a story that happened to me directly.
Yes,
I
it's that as well. Yes.
Yeah.
I just didn't think you have 3 hours worth of story. So, but
No,
go ahead.
no, maybe actually no, but
Oh
because
Lord.
I know, right? No, I did actually tell y'all. I told y'all a story that happened to my sister. I think it was not late last year, but the year before. I told y'all how the police treated her mental health call. So I mean, and this was a couple years ago. For me, it was probably 2000, and I will say 7 or 6, around then.
Hmm.
Right. So we were all about 21 to 23. And it was me, my boyfriend at the time, and like a friend of mine at the time, this white girl. And she was wasted out of her mind. This is her car. And she insisted on driving it. She has to get her car home. Her parents won't accept the car not being home. So I said, okay, well, I'm less drunk than you. To be fair, I had been drinking, but I was like, I'm not like wasted. You're wasted. So I'll drive your stupid car. So fine, let's go. We'll drive your car to your house. I'll take a cab home from there. Fine. And so we're driving, and it's like a snowstorm in Canada. But it's like an ice storm instead of snow. So that means there's patches of black ice everywhere. So you can drive like maybe like 10 miles an hour at max, right? Like it's like um really slow inching, and even then you're still slipping and sliding everywhere. And it's late at night, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. And so we're approaching this red light. And I mean, from far away, Char, I barely tapped the brakes, barely tapped them
Oh.
as I was rolling, and the car started gliding on ice. So I'm okay. I'm just not gonna touch anything. We're not touching the gas. We're not touching nothing. I'm slowly pulling the emergency brake, right? So to try to hopefully stop the car. So I stop it, but I had probably gone. There's like the line that you're supposed to stop behind. I had probably gone about 3 inches on top of that line. Not even past it, just on top of the line. And there was a cop that was coming the opposite direction. So he sees that. He sees my little black face in the window next to my little black boyfriend's face in the window. So he decides he's going to make the turn and then come up behind us, pull us over. Okay.
Mm.
Right. So now my friend, the white girl, starts getting belligerent because she can. And no one has ever told her in her life that if she gets belligerent, things will get worse for you. But my boyfriend's trying to calm her down. I'm trying to just get the cop to focus on me. But the more she does things, the angrier he's getting at me. And I'm also going through at this time uh, a condition with depression and post-traumatic stress disorder. And something very bad happened to me. And so if you were to handcuff me, for example, behind my back, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to have a full-out panic attack. I'm going to go through flashbacks. It's going to be bad. So my
Mhm.
boyfriend and my friend now are just pleading, fine, you're going to arrest her. You're going to take her down the station for the breathalyzer because she's at the fine line and you can't be sure. Just please don't handcuff her behind your back, which of course they don't care. And then they handcuff me behind my back and then throw me on the ground, like by the back of my head, slam my face into the ground, and then say, why? She doesn't like this? You don't think she likes this? Well, she doesn't like this, and she probably shouldn't be drinking and driving, should she? And my friend is just sitting there and she's trying to fight the other cop. No one's arresting her. No one arrested her. She was fine. She actually hit one of the other cops. No one arrested her. I was getting arrested. It's fine. So then we get to the station,
Mm.
and then I said, okay, can you just leave me somewhere lit? Please, just please leave me somewhere lit because right now I'm not keeping it together very well. Um, and so they intentionally put me into a little room and then turned off the lights. So I have a panic attack. I have a flashback. I don't remember. I remember flashes of what happened, but the cops came in and they beat the shit out of me. Literally beat the shit out. Remember, they were already told exactly what was happening and whatever. They knew the mental health issues. They knew I was in a place of depression, flashbacks, panic
Oh,
attacks,
wow.
whatever. So my hands handcuffed behind my back in a police station. They start beating the living hell out of me. Um, but because I guess someone messed up and they hit my nose a little too hard, so it started pouring blood, and they couldn't get it to stop. So they had to bring me to the hospital. And
Mm.
so because they had to bring me to the hospital, and at that point, then now my face is covered in blood, my clothes are covered in blood, everything's covered in blood. So eventually they just had to go away because they realized how bad this was going to look for them. So
Mm.
that, yeah, that was my first official time being arrested. That was fun. But yeah, no, they don't care. And it was terrifying because they were trying to do things to elicit a response where they could attack.
Uh-huh.
Right? I mean, why would you not? Someone says, hey, listen, I'm telling you this person has mental health issues, handcuff them in front of, they're not trying to be ornery, they're not fighting against you in any way, right? Don't take our friend out on her, just handcuff her in front of her and whatever, it'll be fine. If I say, just please leave me out in the light with all the other prisoners, why would you sit there and put me into a dark ass room and turn off the lights a little and then shut the door behind me? So now I feel like I'm panicked, I'm trapped, I'm terrified. Like, why would you do that?
Right. I mean, that's standard procedure.
Right? Yeah.
Mm.
They
Wow.
wanted what happened. They wanted it to be isolated. They wanted to be somewhere where there's no cameras and where there was no witnesses. So they could do what they wanted to do, right? And get away with it. And if that lady, because it was a lady, I remember it was the lady that came from my face. If that lady hadn't hit me in the face and the way she did that had my face bleeding uncontrollably, they probably would have gotten away with it. Everyone else did body shots, right? So she's the one who came for my head.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. So that was my one of my experiences. That's my direct, experience. So when I say I don't deal with the cops, I don't call the cops on anyone. I If something terrible was happening to me, I still wouldn't call the police. I would never think to call them. I would call family, I would call friends, but I wouldn't call the police because I don't trust them and I don't believe that they're here for justice. So
That is a terrible experience. And I did mention in the beginning that it happened to women.
Hmm.
And even if you don't see it, you hear about it, not as
Right.
often, but you do hear about it. And we should care enough to do something, the best we can do, you know?
Right. Hmm.
Wow. Now, I've never had an encounter like that or anything. I just had a small experience, and nothing happened actually. Um, I just was flippant because I had a problem when I was accused of something. I just
Hmm.
had a really bad problem. If you accuse me of something and I'm innocent, that just sets me off. And I was in the parked car, and I don't know what my boyfriend was doing. He was doing something. I don't know if he was checking the lights in the back, doing something to the car. And I bumped up against the thing, and I turned the brights on and didn't know how to turn them off. Didn't really think much about it. Just figured, okay, it'll be okay. We're just sitting here in the alley. It's all right. So, next thing I know, a car going the one way backs up and zooms down the alley where we were and pulled up. And the guy on the passenger side, we're face to face. And he asked me, was the lights bright enough? And I told him, no, I don't think they are. So we were doing a stare down, and me not having the wisdom of knowing that are not too nice. My boyfriend handled it with the driver, and they were talking, and just me and the passenger, we just had a stare down.
Hmm.
And then they end up driving off. But I'm just wondering, just speaking of that, it must have been the passenger that told the driver, hey man, let's go down there. Because they were on their way to somewhere, more than likely, had some business to take care of. Or even if they didn't have any business to take care of. Why was it so important to drive up to the car, ask the passenger in the parked car if the lights were bright enough?
Right.
We
Huh.
could say, ma'am, young lady, whatever he wanted to have called me, your brights are on.
Hmm.
And I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, I don't know how to turn them off. And that could have been settled,
Right.
could have figured out. But no, he asked me, were they bright enough with an attitude? So I gave it back to him. I'm like, nope, I don't
Actually,
think they
not.
are. I don't think they are.
Right? Ain't this like medium? I want high. How do I get high?
But, even doing that, that wasn't a good thing to do. I didn't know. And
Hmm.
again, I had the issue that I had. And I had that issue to my late 20s. I just, you accuse me of something, it's going to be a problem. Didn't
Right.
have too many people accusing me, but when they did, I got really hostile about it. I just couldn't help myself. So that was just the only encounter that I had. And like I said, it wasn't, get out the car, let me search you or anything like that.
Hmm.
So I'm just glad to not have had any, making it to 50 years old, not to have had any encounters. But there are a lot of women that have them.
Yep.
I'll try next time to get more women to show up, or get some women to show up so they can, for the next one and give their stories, because I already knew I didn't have any, just that particular thing there.
Hmm.
Um, but what we can do now, before we go into your next story, is I could show you a video. Let me see. I don't know. Someone sent this to me, and we can discuss this. Give me one moment to share my screen
Hmm.
and the audio, because there is audio. I think I think so. All right, here we go. Body cam video shows how parking violation ended in police shooting in, is that northeast? I don't know where that is. We'll find out though.
Newly released police body cam video shows how quickly an investigation into an illegally parked car turned violent. That's an officer after an officer shot a man in the leg. And tonight, the police chief says he has concerns about how it all unfolded. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Karen Swenson.
And I'm Sharice Gibson. Welcome to this hour-long edition of Eyewitness News at 5. Because of the NCAA basketball, the chief says the officer who fired his gun may have violated department policy. And this is not the first time that this officer has been in trouble for firing his gun on the job. Danny Monteverdi has that story.
In this body cam video, which the NOPD released Friday, you see Officer Isaiah Shannon walk up to the car with his gun already out behind his back. Shannon and his partner, Officer Marcus Caldwell, stopped to investigate a car parked illegally at Warner Drive and Chef Highway about 9:30 a.m. on March 10th.
Listen, you know you're parked on the wrong side of the road.
Shannon asks the passenger if he and the driver have been smoking.
I mean, I smell the weed, bro. I'm just asking. It's a ticket nowadays, bro.
Shannon and Caldwell ask the men to get out of the car.
Step out real quick.
And things escalate quickly.
Turn around for me.
The passenger sprints away. Officer Shannon chases him. It ends in 6 seconds. The passenger is on the ground with a gunshot wound to his leg. Now the NOPD is investigating the shooting, and Police Chief Sean Ferguson says the way it started could be a problem.
Should Officer Shannon have stepped out of the vehicle already holding the gun?
That is a part of our investigation. As I've said before, I have some concerns on some possible administrative violations, but that is something that we're looking at.
This isn't the first time Officer Isaiah Shannon has been investigated for firing his gun on the clock. He was fired in 2014 after he was accused of lying about shooting at an unarmed man who was running away.
We found enough evidence that we felt that this individual should have been separated from our department.
He got his job back in 2017 after an appeal.
By right, he was given his commission and his job back.
But now he's on desk duty as investigators wait for him to give his side about what happened this time. Danny Monteverdi, Eyewitness News.
Officer Caldwell has given a statement and is back to work. The suspect who was shot is not facing any charges at the request of the district attorney's office. Meanwhile, the attorney for Officer Shannon declined to comment since this is still an open investigation.
Open investigation. Open investigation. Let's see some of the key words that he used. He said he has some concerns. I wish he would have named them. Would have been nice to see if he would have named the same things that we see.
Right.
There is something concerning administrative. Does that mean his paperwork wasn't neat? He didn't staple the corners in the proper side. I mean, he stapled on the right instead of the left.
Well, the only thing they mentioned, as far as it being a concern, is, well, why did he already have his gun before he got out of the car? Maybe that was problematic. You know, wait until you step out of the car to pull your gun out and shoot someone, please. Not like the shooting itself. It doesn't seem like they're concerned so much about the shooting. It seems like the issue more lays around some type of, it's a minor policy detail, right? We prefer you to get out of the car before you whip your gun out and shoot someone, right? We don't want any trouble here. Right? So you can pretend you analyze stuff fully if you are already out of the car before you pull your gun out and shoot people and kill them, right? Like, I mean, that's basically what they're saying. They're not concerned, and because they don't care. They really don't. I'm sorry. After I saw the California thing, like I'm over all these head honchos. I don't care if it's the mayors, I don't care if it's president, I don't care if it's the head of the police. I'm over all of them, right? Because first we have Mr. Bad Day over there. He's having a bad day. Pardon? Oh, so you could just be having a bad day. Then we have, she just accidentally grabbed 26-year veteran, accidentally grabbed her gun instead of her taser. You heard her say the word taser? She meant to grab her taser. Right?
Accidentally. Okay, accidentally.
Right? We gonna gun a guy down in a car who's already way past us and just driving away. You know what? That's sticky. I'm just going to change the law so now it's legal for us to kill you in an idle car if it's facing away from us, if it's driving away from. It's illegal for you to kill them in a car as long as it's in a car. That's what they did to solve that problem. So when they say administrative problems, I just think, oh, so how are you going to change the law to make this one okay? So I think,
Which means they can change what they want to change. Everything it seemed like that we asked that it's a change. We don't get that. It's, oh, we're going to take a look at it. We understand your concerns. But if it's something they want to change to get out of it, oh, they have no problem. Shoot, it'd be passed before they even announce it.
right?
Thank you so much for your donation. Let me hit you with a sneed. Thank you so much.
Okay, wait. Sorry. Let me in on. I'm gonna be on my laptop so I can share stories and stuff.
Okay. There's two.
It's a nightmare.
I'm sorry for the glitch, everyone. Ha ha ha.
You calling me a glitch, Shar? I feel like y'all Shar called me a glitch.
You saw it was two. You saw what happened. You saw that isn't normal.
What?
You know.
They're cloning me because I'm so perfect. That's what happened.
Oh, yeah. See, I didn't even think of that. Never mind. Let's erase that.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yeah, but you know, I'm gonna have to just say too, that dude, he got his pension. He's sitting at his desk while we look into it, and he got his money, and which means he got his pension. I'm telling you, if you make these officers, if you have it where they have to get their own insurance, you're gonna see all of a sudden they're not gonna be so fearful. It's like, wow, you're not as fearful? What happened?
Thank you. Shar, I'm telling you, we are the brilliant minds who came up with this idea. And like that one day we worked in all the little details. I think that this is the best possible case scenario. Okay, fine. We will bump. I will even concede to this point. You want to say that they're already underpaid? Fine. Bump up all their pay just to be able to afford the insurance, the initial base insurance. Okay. They're technically paying for it, but you know, you're going to bump up their pay so they can afford it. Now, the only way it's going to start taking away from that pay that they're underpaid is if they do anything wrong, like this, right? Not like normal wrong, okay? When they do this egregious stuff, because now it's the insurance company who's they're just evaluating your risk. And trust me, you cannot get insurance companies to play ball with you because they don't care, right? Because ultimately, every time you mess up and you need lawyers or you need this or you need that, they have to pay for it for you. So therefore, if you are a bigger risk, they are going to penalize you for that monthly. You don't want to be a bigger risk, then you're going to stop acting badly. The end. And eventually your insurance is going to get so high you can't afford it. And at that point, you're basically a facility officer, just like there are facility drivers. And in the industry, when they call you a facility driver, it means that you can't get insured by regular insurance companies because the premium's so high that normal people can't afford it. You have to actually try to get insurance through specialty places. And they put all kinds of acts and restrictions and fees and whatever, and you still pay sky high premiums, right? But like some people can't afford not to drive, so they become facility drivers and go do that. But that's what cops would be. You'd be a facility cop. And at that point, you can't afford the premiums. So you can go be a mall cop with no gun.
Right, because I'm only going to give you 2 chances. That's it. There's no 3 strikes you're out because we need change. So we give you 2 because you can't get in a situation the first time. Okay, we're going to look at everything, body cam, witnesses, everything to make sure that was they call a good shoot. We're going to make sure. Second time, this might not work out for you. We looked and we just see this doesn't seem to work out for you. So maybe try something else. And that's
Right.
it. 2 times.
Mhm.
That's enough.
Exactly. Exactly. It'll be more than enough, right? And but I
Right.
mean, and I'll say this: that's for big, like medium offenses. I will say for small infractions should be able to add up as well, right? Like if someone's constantly just parking in the wrong spot, they don't just automatically lose their license, right?
Mhm.
So there's got to be infractions for that as well. And then with driving infractions, yeah, you get speeding tickets, you get enough, or you're speeding at too fast a rate. Like if you're only 10 over, right, there's no points to 10 over, right? But there are
Right.
points that you lose when you're 30 over and then 50 over. And then, those points can add up to the point where if you get enough within a year, boom, you're suspended, right?
Okay.
I think we literally can use the way that the driving system set up. We can literally use that. We just put different cop related things in place of driving related things. We could literally use insurance system exactly as it's set up right now. The demerit points and everything.
Yep.
There you go. Little infractions, yeah, you build up enough, then you get suspended for a period of time, right? And then when you come back, your insurance is higher. And then again, you keep building up those little infractions, you build up demerit points faster. Then you get suspended for longer, and so on and so forth. Same thing with the DUI. Your first DUI, you're suspended for 1 year. You pay this kind of fine, you do this, you do that. Your second DUI, you're suspended for 3 years. Third DUI, 10 years, right? So I mean, like, we have all this for people who drive. Why don't we have
Right.
this for people who walk around and are licensed to carry, pointing at your children and shoot them at will? Like,
And
it
these
should be
things are
great.
getting worse. Why is it more? We're going to investigate. We're going to train. We're going to investigate. We're going to train. We're going to investigate. We're going to train. I could go ahead. You know what I could do if they get ready to have a news conference? I can just jump in front of them and jump in front of the camera and say, I tell you everything you need to know, everyone. They're going to investigate and they're going to do some more training. Thank you for your time. Good night. And just
Mhm.
dismiss all the news stations. They can go home because that's going to be the end result.
Yeah. Isn't it always?
I could tell them that.
Right? God. It's like, I mean, at some point, right? I think part of the issue is this. Okay. So a friend of mine had this saying, and he would say, I can run faster scared than you can mad. Right. So like,
Mm,
let's say he did so, like if he threatened to do something to me, right? I'd be like, yo, I will catch you, I'll beat you. He'd be like, I can run faster scared than you can mad, right? And I thought about it.
okay.
And I'm like, you know what? That's true. You can. When you're scared, you can
Hmm.
flee like something else, right? But when you're
Yeah.
angry, so much of your energy is consumed by the feeling, the anger, that you can't run as fast to catch the scared person, right?
Right.
So, and I'll explain why, like, I'm using this analogy right now. I think we've been angry for so long that we are losing some of our power and our strength and our ability to catch the target because it's kind of, there's so much anger, and the anger is not helping, right? It's not something that's fueling us to move forward faster. So in a way, it's keeping us stuck because we're never able to quite catch our prey, right?
Yeah.
um and they're going to keep running scared. So I think what we need to be able to find a way to funnel that rage, funnel that anger into something productive that's going to drive us towards not just recognizing, not just exposing, but towards actual action that will actually change things. So I'll give you guys another example from my family, and I'm not going to expose the direct link to my family, just that someone very close. Now, this person, regardless of what y'all feel about the queer community or not, is not the point of the story. So,
Hmm.
just hear it out now. Now, this person was transitioning from male to female, but
Hmm.
they had just started taking well, not just, but they had been taking the hormones, but still, very much on the outside looked like a man, and so therefore lived like a man.
Hmm.
Um, and there was basically a false arrest call made against him from an ex-girlfriend. And so the police came and arrested him, and then did the strip search and saw the breasts were going and whatnot, and a bunch of the cops pulled him out of his holding cell later and sexually assaulted him. Yeah, a bunch, and it was very violent and brutal and terrible. And yeah, so what do you do about it? What are you gonna do about it? Well, in this case, this person in my family said, okay, well, this is what we're doing. You can't do anything about it in the moment, but got out and started talking to organizations and pooling money together and doing fundraisers. And then once you have enough money and enough stuff built up, went and sued the police, sued the entire police force and won.
Good.
Yeah, won a huge settlement. Actually, helped paid for now her transition surgery. But the point is, right, and the reason why I brought that up now, yeah, it's an additional story and an additional risk. I would say, especially that anyone in the LGBT community and women face from the police is sexual assault, because we have the risk, obviously, also of being shot or just physically assaulted.
Right.
But we do also have that risk of being sexually assaulted, and it takes away your power. It makes you feel so powerless. It makes you feel so weak. And
Yeah.
we have to hit them where it hurts, right? And putting them out on the media, not hurting them, right? But when you come after the police and you win like $1 million, guess what happens? They don't like that. They do not like losing millions of dollars. They don't. It hurts them.
That's true.
Yeah, right? You've got to kick them where it hurts, and for them, it's money. For most of America, right? It's money. That's what it comes down to. We have to make it expensive for them, whether it's as individuals, whether it's the whole corporation, whether it's the whole legal system. We have to make it expensive for them to do something against us. That's what it comes down to. And so, to see that, because if this was in the 90s, this was not a time where like, oh, the LGBT rights were, kicking and everyone cared. No, this was not that time, right? So it's not like, oh, come on, it was an easy win. No, it was not, right? But you have to fight for what you believe in. You have to fight for what's right. And I think that sometimes we allow things. I mean, I know what happened to me. There was no follow-up. I didn't do anything. What was I going to do? Well, report them, and what? Then what was going to happen? I felt so powerless in that moment. I was like, there's nothing I can do. I wouldn't talk to a supervisor if they're going to claim they're going to reprimand them. They don't care. I have no proof of what happened. What am I supposed to do about it? Even when you have proof, nothing happens. So, and then that's the attitude we have. So then we feel powerless, and so then we act powerless. And then when we see these tragedies happen over and over and over and over again, it doesn't inspire some people, because they're already so consumed by powerless. It just makes them feel more powerless, or just makes
Yeah.
them feel more angry. But like, there's nothing you can do. You're angry, but there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, that's really something. You add the fact that more than likely you're not supposed to be arrested, and then you get assaulted.
Right.
That's why I say they need to be responsible as an individual, not a unit.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
Mm, mm, mm. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something. Do you have something to share? Because I will go on to the next video I have.
Oh, well, I just shared. So go on to the next video, and then
Oh, okay.
we'll break it up. We're kind of doing like Saturdays anyway. We're back and forth. Back and
Right.
forth. Yeah. We got a whole
Exactly.
thing. Yeah.
All right, so let's have two videos. So this is one. I'll play the, don't want to do the shortest one first. Yeah, this is 4 minutes, 19 seconds, because anything after that is copyright. They've already told me, so I have to stop it there. But you will still hear the point.
Okay.
Black man reacts to white friend's traffic stop experience.
anytime I'm seeing a cop, my heart's dropping. This specific time, I didn't see the cop when I passed her, but she pulled up behind me and pulled me over. And right away, when she got out of the car, she took her gun out. You do kind of head into a fight or flight mode. Really, it's about how do you survive this. When she walked up, I said, threw my hands out. I said, hey, at this point, I've seen too many of young black men, women die through the cops' hands. So I'm thinking like this can go any way at this moment.
Are you Darius? No. Okay. Do you not got the warrant? I have warrant? Yeah, you do. Why don't you unbuckle your seatbelt and step on out for me?
And they said, we're arresting you for a felony. So I get out of the car, they detain me. And it took some time for them to realize that they had the wrong Darius.
Shoot. This might be the wrong guy.
This picture pulls up, and this dude's a lot darker than me. He has a tattoo on his neck. Yeah, he looks
Literally not you.
Like what? How do you? What? He doesn't look anything like me.
You are free to go. I am sorry.
Could have been dead today. Yeah. George Floyd came in my head. I ain't gonna lie. He came in my head. Man, anything can happen to us, man. Especially as black bodies, man. Black people, black men.
There are different ways that I am seen and that you are seen in a vehicle in Minnesota, in the United States.
Have you ever been pulled over by the police, and what was that experience like for you?
Okay, I have been pulled over by the police. I was driving home from work really late at night. She was like, driver's license. I like turned into the back seat and I was like, this is gonna be a minute. And grabbed my backpack and tore through everything. And then she was like, insurance. And I was starting to get really overwhelmed and I was tearing up, and she was like, I'll give you a couple minutes. And she walked back to the car, like letting me just sit in my car. I reflected immediately after it happened for an officer to feel comfortable with my presence, to leave me in my vehicle, to let me have my breakdown, getting away with a warning. Every single step of the way of all of those interactions within that 15 minutes, that should have been offered to a lot more people.
It affects me. You know, I think the way that makes me feel is I'm happy for you and your safety, right? But I just feel like in this world, at this time, it just doesn't make any sense to me, you know, how comfortable some people feel with, you know, driving and being pulled over, and how I kind of always have to, when I get pulled over, it's not about me being worried about getting a ticket or whatever. It's me worried about my life. Make sure you check in on your loved ones, man. Check on your friends that that are black, that are traveling in these suburban communities, because they could have ended a whole different route.
I did watch your video that you posted. Yeah, I watched it twice. Once to hear you, and the second one to like really hear you. It was almost as if everything that whole spring, this was building up, and then it happened to a friend.
All right, so that's all I can play, actually. I want to point out, too, that I was told by a gentleman that having their hair braided is also a threat.
Oh.
I didn't get a chance to ask how, but I was told that. So I'm going to have to believe that. That's what the gentleman said. So now you have the fact that not only you're a black male, but how your hair is. So, I mean, is there a standard cut that a guy can use? that make him say a little safer, we know that doesn't exist. So that's ridiculous in itself.
We know what
Your
they want,
hair.
though.
Mm.
We know what
Go
they
ahead.
want. They want it gone, right? You need to perm it, make it straight and unoffending, right? Make it not scary. Basically tell us that you don't identify as black. You identify as want to be white. Because if you identify as want to be white, then we understand that you will basically let us do whatever we want to you. And it's going to be okay because you want our acceptance, right? That's what they're referring to. How dare you accept your natural hair and your own culture and, things that work for your natural hair if you let it grow? How dare you accept that? That's nothing like us. And you're supposed to, in America, meld to the majority, aka try to blend in and become as white as possible. That's what the melting pot is. That's what their dream was. And so anyone who opposes that dream, they're offended and they're frightened by it. You're going to take away their ability to be, the rulers, the majority, the idolized, because only people who are idolized are truly safe. And they know they're not safe because they know what they've done in history. They know what they've done. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, he said exactly what I said earlier. The fear. You don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, right? Until it happened directly to me, I had a vague fear, because when a cop looks at you in a certain way, you just know. And when you see that they look at you one way and they look at all the white girls standing around you differently, you know when you feel at risk. But it is different once it's happened to you directly, because now you know it's possible. It really is possible. Like, even when you knew it was possible, it's different to know something's possible and then to have nightmares about this very real thing. So now you get behind the wheel of a car, and at first, like, your chest is tight. You can't breathe. But you got to get on, because you got to get to work. The world's not going to just stop because you're terrified of driving now. Right? So what are you supposed to do? You got to keep going. But, it's this abject form of terror that you have to ignore. Like it's unreasonable, even though your fear is not unreasonable. And even though ultimately the outcome of any encounter with that is there's no controlling it. Like I said, I make sure I get everything. The smile, the this and that, the kissing ass, I do it all. But that's not a guarantee. But as I said last week, nothing is a guarantee, but I feel like it gives me a higher percentage. I'm being real. I turn on white girl, valley girl real fast. Hi, officer. Oh my God, was I really? I am so sorry. Okay, here's my insurance and here's my driver's license. And oh my God, I totally. Okay.
Classic Ruby.
Registration.
Oh, classic Ruby. Teach me. How do I do that? Oh my.
Girl, you
That's a little
watch
bit
a
too
lot.
much.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Listen, you just watch Clueless, the movie, and just
Okay.
practice. Rolling with the homies, right? You just
Okay. I'm going to practice. Thank you. But that's ridiculous. I know that sometimes you do have to put a face on for certain reasons, whether it's your work, and then these encounter with police, because we want to get home. That's the goal, is to get home. A lot of us don't go, get home, and that's the sad part. You can do everything right, and sometimes you don't get to go home. So if I have to add those airs and all that, hey, I'm going to do all of that, because it will probably throw them off.
Right. Yeah. Right. Derek Mills said in the chat, talk with sass so that you appear homosexual. I'm not kidding. As crazy as this may sound, right? These are things that do make you less of a threat in their head. And if it's a matter of you getting home safely or not, I mean, I understand pride and ego is worth a lot, but my life is worth more than all of the above.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to play the game in the moment, right? And like I said, if something goes wrong, I'm paying attention, eyes open. Now we have cameras recording. But I'm gonna play the game well. I'm gonna act like everything is just fine. I'm gonna stay calm. I'm gonna stay sweet. I'm gonna stay whatever. I'm gonna stay basically like a dumb valley girl. Because you know what? If I can live to get out of this situation, then I can sue tomorrow. I can hit them where it hurts. Because telling them they're bad people, telling them they're racist, telling them they targeted me for no reason, telling them in the moment that this is unfair, when the worst thing in the world, the worst crime in the world is to disrespect a cop and to tell a cop that he is not the supreme ultimate be all end all and you must worship him. That is the worst crime in the world. No, I'm getting get out of the situation first and then come for them later.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I am planning on finding out the different laws in each state with the project that we're working on to see if you can sue them civically, because I think if you do that,
Mhm.
that's really going to hit them hard, because that's the only way to really hit them. I mean, going after the whole department, okay, fine, that's taxpayers' money. I don't want that. I want the kind that you have to earn. So you respect that money. You have to get up, put your clothes on, and go outside and go earn. You're going to
Right.
feel some kind of way about that. So that's the cash I'm going after.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. That's what it comes down to. I mean, and to be honest with you, right? This is why I said I'm like some people stay steeped in the anger too much to do nothing, but some people are using that anger in a more productive way, and they are suing, and they're getting
Hmm.
money. Now, don't take the first offer. They're gonna throw $20,000. Nope. 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 Right. But we got to keep doing it because if you think about all of the stories that we've covered alone this year, if every single
Yes.
one of those families went after the cops civilly and sued the pants off of them, that's gonna change what management is telling their cops to do. That's gonna change the training. That's gonna change the good old boys club over there, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't care what you think about them or feel about them or blah, but they don't care about that. But they do care about their money. They care about their year-end bonuses. They care about, whether they get a raise. They care deeply. They care if they get paid. They care about their pensions. They care. That's what they care about. So you hit them there. You hurt that? Yeah, they're gonna think twice. And see, that is the one thing we need to start looking at when we're looking at these cases and stuff. Okay, so guys, let's get together, put our heads together. What can they sue for? On what grounds? What's the precedent? What's this? What's that? You know what? You send that information, you start the GoFundMe for them to be able to pay the trial lawyer. Boom. That's what we need to start doing.
Yeah. Oh,
All
yeah.
right. Now, I have, because this just came out, that one thing I know as women, right? We're concerned about our own selves and our lives and whatever, but obviously we're concerned about our children. And I, it boggles my mind. I'm going to show you a couple different videos, and the stories attached to them. Um, and I'm going to show you first this one. This incident was in 2018. So I'm going to show you the 2018 incident first, and then I'll show you the second one because that just happened more recently. This is of an Aboriginal boy. But he's a 16-year-old Aboriginal boy. But if you look at the video, I mean, he's pretty dark. I'm just going to say that. I'm pretty sure they looked at him and they saw a little black boy. Now, oh wait. What is that? Oh, I see what happened. I opened the wrong tab. See what tabs do to us, guys? Tabs, I don't know. They're a blessing and a curse. Okay, we got it now. Let me open this up. But you have to. I just can't believe that they sit there and they violate the laws. They do this all the time, right? We know that cops violate laws. They don't care. But in this case, they're basically violating the law where they're basically sexually assaulting a child. Now, I'm going to tell y'all how this started, okay? This unlawful strip search of a 16-year-old Aboriginal boy by 3 adult police officers is back in the spotlight. This was 2020, last year, after a scathing report was handed down. Video from the incident shows the teenager handcuffed and surrounded by 3 cops in the vehicle dock of a station in regional NSW in 2018. The footage has come to light once more as the family of another original boy called for a police officer who violently arrested the teenager to be charged. The boy in 2018 video was first approached by police on the main street of the town, and a male officer, this is a 16-year-old boy, the male officer put his fingers into the waistband of the teenager's shorts looking for drugs. Kid says, "What are you doing? You can't put your hands down my bum. You can't search me you can search me at the station when my parents are there." And the cop said, "Well, you actually don't know the rules. We can search you." The teenager was then taken back to the police station in a caged truck where he discarded cannabis wrapped in foil. So he apparently did have cannabis. Fine, whatever. It's like not a gun or something terrible. Anyway, the boy then stepped out of the car, still handcuffed, and was told to put his hands on the wall by one of the officers. One of the sergeants then checked the teenager's pockets, okay, undid the drawstring on his shorts, you can see where he's at here, and pulled them down to the floor. Okay, now look, this is where we are in the video. Internet? Why y'all playing with me today? I don't understand. Okay, there you go. This is a 16-year-old boy who said, "Just call my parents." Yep. He looks like a child.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So after this, he was questioned while still naked from the waist down. Okay? He actually was questioned while naked from the waist down. Right?
Oh.
I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine them doing that to an adult. But okay.
Right.
Meanwhile, the police found the foil wrapper in the back of the car. So then, the sergeant later agreed that had he searched the back of the van first, there would have been no need for a strip search. Really shocking. The teenager, after they found the weed, had a discussion about it, whatnot. The teenager was then unhandcuffed, and then his father was called. So,
wow.
Child up off of the streets, 16-year-old child, picked him up off the streets, tried to strip search him in public. Kid said, "Yo, strip search me at the station with my parents present. You don't know the laws. I can strip search you how and whenever I want." Brought him back to the station, strip searched him, made him stand there naked while questioning him.
What?
Yeah, it's a 16-year-old boy, y'all. 16-year-old boy. I wish I could say this was an isolated incident, but it's not. So I'm going to show y'all another thing now. I caught this on the Young Turks, TYT. So we're going to watch the clip of what just happened. Here, show you the... I just stumbled across the second one. I stumbled across that one looking for this story again. And I was like, how many times do they think it's appropriate? You're strip searching 16-year-old? Okay, let me just show y'all.
3 or 4 people in the car.
Within minutes after a traffic stop on New Year's Day in 2020, Clarence Green is standing in the street behind an SUV with his pants down and his underwear exposed.
Hey,
stop.
Come on, bro. You can't do that, bro.
I can. The officer groping him in public in a search for drugs. And then Green's 16-year-old brother is searched in the same manner.
Come on.
Yeah.
So obviously
Again, this time in public, a grown man, well, not grown, I think he was like 18, and then a 16-year-old boy who's just the passenger in the car. In public, you're taking their pants down and strip searching them in public.
In public, right.
In the middle of the street. And this is acceptable. The police can just do this. You see, like, they think that they are above the law. This is basically like sexually assaulting a child. And it's fine because it's the police.
Wow. That is, you know, they don't treat us the same. There's no way they would have done that to anyone of the dominant society.
Nope.
They would have been asking more questions. Where are your parents?
Right.
Call your parents, anything. But you wouldn't have that.
Ever. They would not have dared to. Again, going back to my story, you have this belligerent white girl who's hitting cops, literally hitting them, not getting arrested, right? But I am getting grabbed by my hair and having my face slammed into the ground. But the white girl's hitting you. I didn't hit you. I didn't fight back. I just had tears streaming down my face, begging for them to please handcuff me in front of me because of my post-traumatic stress disorder. That's it. And that deserved me getting grabbed by my ponytail, lifted off my feet, slammed face first into the ground, face rubbed into the ground. But the white girl can, very belligerent and drunk and falling all over herself, be hitting cops, and they can just say, hey, you better stop that or else we're going to arrest you, young lady. Like, we're the same age.
Wow.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous. Welcome to the panel, Neek. How are you?
I'm fine, Shaw. Hello, ladies. Hello, Ruby.
Hey. Do you have an encounter you like to start off with?
Sure. So I'll start with the most recent encounter I had. It was a couple years ago. It wasn't like really recent, but my husband had a friend come up and visit some family up here, and he lives in Georgia. So he's like, he's gonna go back home, but he didn't want to pay because it's really expensive to take like, either Greyhound or take the train. So in New York City, they have a Chinese bus. It's a Chinese bus company that charges like $30 to go down south. So he's like, if you could give me a ride to Manhattan to get the bus, that'll save me a lot of money. So he's like, that's fine. So we took him down to the city. We stopped and got something to eat. And on the way back, there's a really dark highway that goes from Westchester County, which is right outside of New York City, is right outside of the Bronx, and comes up to Albany, called the Taconic. So there's not a lot of traffic that way. That's the way I normally drive because I could avoid traffic. There's no tolls, blah, blah, blah. So on the way back, my husband was speeding. We get pulled over on this dark highway. And the cop is like, well, where are you coming from? And he's like, we're coming from the city. So he's asking all these questions. And he asked, well, what time did you leave? And he's like, we left at blah, blah, blah. So I'm getting infuriated. I'm like so mad. But, my husband is complying.
Yes.
But I'm on the other side like, what the fuck does this have to do? Excuse my language, but what does this have to do with speeding? I felt a lot like the lady that you showed the video. Like, what? Give us our ticket and let us go. So he decides, something must be fishy because there's no way we're going to drive to New York City and then turn right around. So at this point,
Oh
I
boy.
I lose it, right? Because he's like,
Mm.
"Oh, I need you guys to get out of the car. I'm gonna have my dog search the car." I said, "For what?" "Oh, because your story just doesn't make any sense." I said, "Who gives a shit if it doesn't make sense to you? Is that illegal?" I
Mm.
said, "I don't care if I drove to California and turned around and came right back. Is that against the law?" So my husband's trying to calm me down, but in the meantime, I'm walking away for the cop because I already know how they operate, right? I'm not going towards you. I'm not aggressing you, but of course I'm upset.
Hmm.
So my husband's like, just let him do what he got to do so we can get out of here. And of course, he's a black man and he's concerned about what's going to happen. And,
Yeah.
I understand also that it could have went totally different. He let the car, I mean, he let the dog search the car. Then the guys all in our food, like, oh, what kind of food is this?
What?
Yeah, yes.
Uh, okay.
I'm
Huh?
like, what, you gonna search our food too?
Wow.
Oh wow.
He's like, so the dog, of course, doesn't find anything because we had nothing in the damn car. Then he's still like, you sure you don't have nothing? I mean, you could just let me know, guy. You sure you don't have anything?
Oh
I'm
my
like, so you are
goodness.
really going above and beyond to try to make this some type of criminal investigation. It's give us our ticket the same way the lady was telling them and let us go. I let that man have it. I had gotten to a point. I was like, you could take that fucking food with you. I don't want it. You had your dog all over it. You had it in it. You enjoy it. I said, let us get out of here. I was going off. My husband was like, just calm down. Like, just relax. Just calm down. Just calm down. But I had gotten to a point. I cursed him out. He had never been cursed out like that. And he felt like an asshole. He didn't even give us a ticket after all that.
Oh wow.
'Cause I had just lost it, and you can tell he was embarrassed, and because I pointed it out. I know what you're doing. I
Oh,
know what you're doing.
Mm. You went
oh,
a different direction because usually they'll get angry, but you had
yeah.
the gift to make them embarrassed. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
some of the words that you said, whatever your mannerism was, it worked out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank God.
Wow. But that's
Mm.
just like you're saying the article, I mean the video that I showed, the lady like, give me the ticket, give me the ticket. How many times you gonna ask a young man, you on parole? You on parole? Cause you gotta tell me and all that. So it's the same thing. It's like I have to do something. Yeah, I'm stopping you because I have to do something. I
Right.
got to make it more than just this. What is it? What's the underlining thing? Because I don't know what the secret is. It has to be some secret. I don't know what it is. What is the secret?
The underlying thing is the same principle that they use with the stop and frisk model, right? Is
Uh-huh.
it is widely known in this country, black people are the criminal class, right? So you're black, you got to be doing something criminal. So I can't just stop you for something simple without further investigating and make my big bust.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm. This it's just that is just ridiculous. Just ridiculous.
That's
I
why they say
wonder.
it, right? Like we can't have a tail light out or a brake light out. We can't speed two over. We can't because they don't care about that. They are
Right.
looking at us like we are all criminals. So that just gives them the in and the excuse to pull you over so that way they can intimidate you into violating your rights, into trying to catch you doing something so they can get
Something,
their
right.
big break off of your name, off of your life. Yep, absolutely. It's crazy.
Wow. That is, oof, my goodness. I'm glad that, you guys got out of that. Because, as I said before, a lot of people do not have a good outcome. Some people don't get a chance to live, to tell the story. And that's what makes it so sad. Going through these articles and finding where people don't get a chance to say anything.
Right.
Because they don't get a chance to live. They get executed, because that's what it is, in public.
Yeah.
And the same excuse over and over again. I mean, how can it replay over and over and over again? I can tell you what you're going to say. I fear for my life. I thought I saw a gun. You're not complying. And then after everything is over with, oh, we're going to do an internal investigation. We're going to do some more training. And they're on desk duty. Same thing over, case after case, state after state. All across the board?
Right.
Where is this playbook? What's going on?
Right.
The playbook is to get these ignorant people from these rural areas that have no contact with black people. All they know is what they see on TV, and we all know how we're portrayed on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they send them into these areas with primarily black people living, and they think everybody is a damn criminal. Everybody. It's no good
Everybody.
black people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goodness. Okay, so we'll go next to a video. Do you have one, Ruby, or I'll play one? What would you like?
Well, either way, I do have one, but you can play one and then I'll play one.
Okay, so I will pull up, I think this one is the longest 7-minute one. So I'll play that. And I think Lady Neek is having some technical difficulties. We'll wait on you. And there she is.
I'm back.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, my phone just lost service for some reason.
Okay. I'm going to play a video. You got that glitch too, huh? I'm going to play a video here. Let me share. Share. And do the audio. And this one I made sure I had no problem. I chopped and screwed it myself. I'm like, we'll make sure we got no problem. Okay, is this right? Yes. This is a comedian. I had know nothing about him. Let's see here. Volume up. Okay.
I follow you on Twitter, but I was looking at your tweets last night, and I was like, "Well, something seems to be happening."
Yeah, so I was filming in Charleston, South Carolina, no direct flight, so I had to connect in Atlanta. I'm in the Atlanta airport, Delta Lounge, drinking a pina colada, enjoying myself.
Okay.
They swipe my ticket. I go to the gate. They swipe my ticket. Hey, welcome aboard. I'm down the little narrow, awkward jet bridge. 2 cops appear. These 2 white cops, on that little awkward, narrow jet bridge, and they whip out their badge, like Hawaii 5-0 style, and they're like, "Come with me." And I'm like, business class, so the only brown person there. Clearly, they're like singling me out. It's like all white businessmen and then me. She whips out her badge, the rookie, the younger of the 2 cops, and then she starts interrogating me like, "What drugs do you have on you? Are you transporting crystal meth to Los Angeles? Like I'm Walter White from Breaking Bad?" Crazy interrogation. I think the TSA at first. So I'm like, "Wait, what?" And I start getting nervous. They undid my pina colada. Like any buzz I had just vanished. I start panicking because I'm like, dude, did I have a joint from 2 Coachellas ago, at the bottom of my backpack?
Yeah.
So she's interrogating me, what drugs you have, da, 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 da. And I'm like, what's going on here? They're doing stopping for racial profiling, stop and frisk. It was the Clayton County PD.
I've never heard of being stopped in
the awkward jet bridge where there's no, people are awkwardly shaking around me. I'm sweating. And
you'd already gone through security, right?
I went through TSA.
Yeah.
I went through TSA. So she's interrogating me, and then she goes, "Can I search your luggage?" And I looked up at the older cop, and I was like, "Can I say no?" And he's like, yeah, you can say no. And I was like, well, then no. Are you out of your mind? Like, no. Like, get me out of here. Like, like, clearly. So I get on the plane and I get really woke on the plane. I'm on the plane Wi-Fi. The plane takes off. I'm like tweeting at the mayor of Atlanta. I'm tweeting at the Atlanta PD. I start tweeting at Joe Biden, like, you need to tell the DEA to get off my back. I don't know. It's Clayton County Police. I'm tweeting at everybody, all angry the whole flight. And I'm drinking like vodka tonics. I'm just getting more drunk and angry. And then the mayor of Atlanta starts tweeting back at me. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was going to work.
Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. That's when you know Bad Trip did really well, because all of a sudden you're getting a response from the mayor. She wrote, sorry to hear about your experience. It's my understanding this was not Atlanta PD, but another one of the many agencies working in the airport. We are working to confirm.
Yes. So it wasn't Atlanta PD. It's like the neighboring, like the more boring county next door, Clayton County. It's their police department. They're doing like old school Giuliani stop and frisk racial profiling. It happened to my other buddy who's a black comedian too. He was like, I was the only white person on the only black person on the jet bridge, and they like stopped me and they like undid my whole backpack. They're doing like 90s era Manhattan stop and frisk.
And they didn't know who you were, these police officers?
No, I was masked up. And
because I could see if they knew who you were, stopping to check if you had drugs, yes. But so they released, the Clayton County Police released a very interesting response.
Yes, do you have that?
I have it.
I have it in my pocket.
I'll read it if you like.
I printed it out on my printer. This is how
you want to read it, or you want to?
No, I want you to read it. But
Okay.
I just want to show you the amount of preparation. I printed it out myself.
All right.
Okay.
The Clayton County Police Department's response to actor Eric Andre's claims of racial profiling.
Yes.
On April 21st, the Clayton County Police Department made a consensual encounter with a male traveler.
First of all, it sounds like we're like about to have sex or something. Like they met me in a bathroom at a gas station and we made love while George Michael's played in the background. So, but no, it wasn't consensual. They whipped out a batch and they were like, come with me. Like, I'm not going to go, no, and like run onto the plane. And
it was consensual in the broadest definition of that word.
Definition.
Identified later as Eric Andre as he was preparing to fly to California from the Atlanta airport. Mr. Andre chose to speak with investigators during the initial encounter.
I didn't really have a choice, but sure.
During the encounter, Mr. Andre voluntarily provided the investigators information as to his travel plans.
I'll give them that. Yeah, I told them I was filming something.
Mr. Andre also voluntarily consented to a search of his luggage, but the investigators chose not to do so.
No, that's a lie. That's a bold-faced lie. All they had to do was go, hey, man, we're sorry. Like, we messed up. We're doing some racist, like, search and frisk at the airport, and then, like, own it and stop doing it. And why would Delta, which has their hub in Atlanta, why would they want this negative PR? Why would the Atlanta airport want this negative PR?
Yeah,
like this is like why would the Clayton County taxpayers want their cops to do this? Why?
I don't know that we can hold Delta responsible for this because obviously they don't control the police. But I know what you're saying.
Some frequent flyer miles. So I do want to. I'm trying to angle this into a couple.
I didn't mean to get you off your angle.
Yes, no, I'm trying to get a couple free flights to Phoenix.
Investigators identified that there was no reason to continue a conversation and therefore it terminated the encounter. Mr. Andre boarded the plane without being detained and continued on his travels. The DEA and the Atlanta Police Department did not assist in this consensual encounter. Again, consensual. Weird terminology.
I know. It's like they were trying to deep French kiss me or something at some point.
Well, that sucks, by the way.
It sucks. It totally sucks. So I'm like, it's funny. So I'm angrily tweeting the whole flight. And when I land, I get to LAX, I go to baggage claim, and TMZ is there, like ready with their camera. So that's fine. I tell them the whole thing, no problem. And then as I'm getting to my car, I'm so wound up and angry. I turn to the TMZ guy's camera and I go, the only drug I had in my backpack was Propecia. And he goes, I swear to God, he goes, well, your hair looks great.
It's working, thanks. Definitely working. Well, hopefully they will think twice about that the next time that happens.
Why are they racially profiling people in that awkward ass jet bridge? Why are they doing stop and frisk Like
Anywhere.
anywhere. Leave me
Yeah.
alone. You're not making my life safer. I don't know whose life you're making safer.
Yeah.
Like, stop the murderers and burglars, man.
Yeah.
Let me smoke a doob. I didn't even have a doobie on me. I don't even. It's not the like I've had crazier.
I'll get you one. It seems like
hell
you could
yeah.
use one. Yeah.
Now, that was new news to me, being in the airport. That I had never heard of that. Never heard of that before.
Right, that's insane. So the local police are running operations in the airport, which is policed by TSA, which is federal. How does that work?
Right.
That doesn't even make sense.
I don't have an answer to that. This was just shocking in itself. And first thing, drugs. And but I will say, and I did say this before doing these stories, when we had the men's panel last week, when I was listening to the guys, one thing I heard that was in common is the officers will ask if they can search. I'm like, okay, so you won't cross the line on that, but everything else you will. What is it about the search? So I'm going to make sure whatever it is, I'm going to read the wording, make sure that we get that information so we can get these, make sure everyone is safe out there. And but that's kind of interesting. They want to search, all
Right.
this searching.
And honestly, even when they ask you, can they search? If you say no, most cops will be like, okay. But there's still going to be times where they will escalate it after you say no. And then they'll say something like, oh, the blanket disorderly conduct. And once they tell you you're detained, they're going to search anyway.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I could see that the escalation in order to do so. Yeah, but just that letter, that tweet, that BS that they sent as a response because he's a celebrity. Oh, consensual, voluntarily, all of that. I'm like, you do all you
Right.
full of crap. And then part of it was a lie at that.
Yeah, because he consensually told them to stop him. I don't. What part of the interaction was consented by him?
Right.
Exactly.
Did they say,
we
"Hey,
don't-
can we stop you and ask you questions"? I didn't hear that part of the story.
Right? I mean, even if it's so-called consensual, how consensual is you obeying the police when they tell you and you're taught and reared to think that you have no choice? If the
Right.
police talk to you, you must answer their questions. If they say the words detained, even if they won't tell you why, now you are obligated to answer their questions. So tell me how that is consensual. There's no consent in your interactions with police. Everything is forced. Even if you're volunteering information, it is forced because you have no choice.
But that's the
Especially when
thing.
you're us.
You're actually not obligated to do anything.
Nope.
Your right is to remain silent. So you don't have to say anything to them at all.
Right. Right. Exactly. And see, and I brought this up before, but there are like white guys, right? And I'm sorry, I'm just gonna state it for what it is, that have YouTube channels. And their whole entire goal, and they have thousands of videos amongst them, is basically kind of like poking the bear, i.e., doing stuff to get pulled over or to get the cops' attention, so that way they can then assert their rights. And basically proving that the cops are going to try to violate your rights all the time, but also proving that as a white male, you can assert your rights and they'll back off. We try to assert our rights and they tell us we don't know what we're talking about. They tell us, well, either comply or you're going to prison tonight. They basically threaten you into complying. And then if they don't, then they say you resisted arrest. Wait, what am I being arrested for? I'm being arrested for not complying.
Respecting their authority.
Exactly. Right. So no, I know my rights. I don't have to blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, then what they do is they manhandle you, right? Slam you to the ground, handcuff you, and now they arrest you and put you into jail for resisting arrest. Not for something else. No, there's no gun charges and whatever. Do you know how many people have been put, young black men have been put into prison for resisting arrest? And that's it. And it's not
And
because they
that's it.
resisted arrest. Yeah, and that's it.
Mhm.
Because there's no first charge. There's no drug charge, there's no gun charge, no whatever charge. Their charge is resisting arrest. That's it. It's mind-boggling. Just
Right.
mind-boggling.
And they have a term for it. Remember when we watched the video of that police officer, and he said they call it having you take a humble.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep, I remember that, and that's exactly what it is. And it's funny because so I used to date someone, and that's what they would call it. They would say sometimes you have to give someone a humbling, right? And I thought it was hilarious because the story he was telling me basically is, so there are people who come into the bar and like you have your, okay, so if you're a drunk like us, right, you have your local bar, you go there all the time, and everyone there, those are your people. It's like your little bar family. And then new people will come in, and they're just acting too uppity for your liking. Like, dude, you don't have a position here. You got to start from the bottom, show people respect, so on and so forth. And so they're getting too disrespectful. So you quote unquote give them a humbling, and that means it's only like one good shot to the chin, whatever. You drop them, and then you help them stand back up. You're just giving them a humbling. I'm just letting you know your place, and your place is below me. Just don't get it twisted, right? And so that's what the police are constantly doing. And they don't care if you're young, they don't care if you're old, they don't care if you're crazy, you can't even understand what's happening. They don't care if you're innocent, they don't care if you're a rocket scientist, they don't care if you are literally solving cancer and world peace. They don't care, right? Your first job is to respect them and let them know that they are better than you. And if you don't do that, worship. If you don't do that, it is a crime. It's not on the books, but that's the crime. That's the real crime.
Sick. Just sickening.
Now, I did see in the chat that someone was talking about the fact that we showing a lot of examples of our men, and basically positing there are no examples of women. Now, let's be fair. In the between 2015 and now, there's been 245 women shot and killed by the police, where there's been like over 5,000 men shot and killed by the police. So we do know, obviously, there's going to be a higher incidence of stories about our men, especially when we're talking about our demographic.
Right. Because no one on the planet is bigger or scarier than black men.
Exactly.
So of course, they're more of a threat than black women. We have a lot of leeway as compared to a black man. So yeah, it's going to be a lot more instances of black men being accosted.
Yeah. And remember that while there's going to be a lot more of those incidences, what we do have more of with women, which often goes unreported because, again, you're powerless, are things like sexual assault. And normally, though, when you hear vice cops crossing that line with prostitutes, no one's going to care what a prostitute has to say about being sexually assaulted, so they don't report it.
Right.
They do other things to women, and ultimately at the end of the day, and this is why it's important for us to differentiate. This is not the struggle Olympics or the pain and blame Olympics, right? There's no contest. Our young black men especially are at the greatest risk. So we do have to talk about that, but that doesn't mean our women are not at risk. And so the next story I want to talk about actually is a woman. And she was fatally shot by officers. And she was shot moments before she was shot. She tells the officers she's pregnant. Now, there's no way I'm going to tell you something. She said she was pregnant. She said that it's like an utterance when you're fearing for your life, you don't normally think of a lie to say. That's my personal opinion. The police have said that no, she's lying. She was never pregnant. I think a payoff happened for them to get the coroner to agree with that statement. But either way, it comes down to she did tell the police she was pregnant, did not change the outcome. So let's take a look at this story. Now, I'll give you a little bit of background before I played the video. So this woman was known to police. And she was known to police because they've had to serve prior warrants on her.
Mm-hmm.
She's a schizophrenic woman, first off, which they also did know. And this incident happened in a suburb of Houston late Monday night while attempting to arrest her over outstanding warrants. Okay. So this is a witness cell phone video. This is not from the body cam footage or whatever. And so at this point, basically, they tell the woman they want to arrest her. No one wants to be arrested. Like, I don't know why they think people's natural response would be like, oh, I'm going to arrest you for the outstanding warrants you've been avoiding. I'm going to put you in prison. And people should go, oh, okay, yeah, cool. That's cool. Yeah. Like, I feel like some natural resistance is natural.
Right.
Like, shouldn't be a death sentence. But let's watch what happens. And don't worry, you guys don't have to like avert your eyes. The actual, as they've been doing lately with these videos, the actual moment where she's shot and killed, it's paused. But let's see.
Okay.
This.
Oh.
Pop that.
Wow.
Yes.
That.
Now, I'm going to give y'all a little bit more information, and we're going to watch it again. So you do see in the video, he does deploy a taser, and the taser doesn't incapacitate her. He knows that he has a taser that only allows you basically to deploy a disabling shot once. So after you deploy the taser, unless you change the cartridge, it cannot hurt you. Can't. So now, obviously, this woman don't want to be arrested. No one does, as I said. So she grabs the taser away from him. And he said that's the moment he fears for his life, and that's why he shot her. But remember that he is aware and had all the training on a taser he knows for sure can only shoot another shot if you change the cartridge. He knows he's deployed the taser. He knows it cannot hurt him in any way. Can't hurt him. Which is why he was charged and indicted finally at the end of last year. But now that y'all know that, so you're looking for that information. She grabs the taser, but look at the position she's in when she's shot. I love the fact that they frame at that moment. Look at the position she's in when she's shot. Even if she grabbed the taser, she wasn't pointing it when you shot her 5 times. Take a look again.
Right.
Pop that.
Wow.
You hear the taser right there? Did it work? Yeah.
5 shots.
5 shots. And y'all saw her. She was literally frozen, sitting up right there. Hold on. Let me freeze that. Because I want y'all to see where her hands are. I really do. Look at this. Look at this. She's sitting on the ground, Her hands are down, and the only thing she could possibly have in her hands, which she doesn't currently, is a taser he knows can't do anything to him. And he shot her 5 times. A woman that is familiar to him, that they know has schizophrenia. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not allowed to have any type of mental issues or anything. We're not allowed to have that.
Right. Right. And not only that, if you just look at their interaction, look at the body language. This was a man who was angry. Just look at the body language.
Yeah.
That was done out of anger. Like, how dare you?
Right.
You're
Exactly.
right.
I don't want to bother with you. I don't want to have to deal with you. And they wonder why we feel the need to say the sentence, Black Lives Matter. It's because everyone seems to know that every other life matters. The life matters more than your irritation today. The life matters more than how frustrating this is. Because it's a human life. So even though you are annoying as hell, no, you don't shoot her dead to deal with the problem because she's a person.
Right.
Like I feel like it shouldn't have to be explained, except like every single week we're doing tons of stories, and that's we're just doing a few in comparison to how many come out every week. And we keep having to do these stories that clearly point out the fact that they don't seem to know that Black lives matter. It's a life, a human life. That's a whole person.
Too much and too sad. Yeah. Neek, you said you have a story. You said a few.
Right. So I had another incident. So we were in the backyard of my house. You know, the kids were running around. We had just purchased the car, so the guy we bought the car for had come and dropped the car off. So we're in the back signing the paperwork for the car. And my son at the time, he was like 3. He ran out to the front of the house and he ran into the street. So I go chasing after him. My neighbor who lived 2 houses down saw him and he came running out. The car stops. The car's coming. The car stops. The woman in the car calls 911. She called the cops. The cops show up. She tells the cops my son was playing in the street for about 10 to 15 minutes. No one was watching him. She almost hit him. Blah blah blah. Makes up all this
Wow.
BS, right? So my neighbor's like, no, he wasn't. Like as soon as he stepped off that curb, I came out. I came, off my porch and she came down the driveway. He wasn't in the street for 15 minutes. So the cop is like, well, he asked the neighbor, would he do a statement? And he's like, yeah, I'll do a statement. But the cop tells us now, oh, well, um, I might have to take you guys down to the station for child endangerment and neglect. So he's going on and on and on. So at the time, he was being trained. So we know the officer that's training him. And she's like, it's really his call because he's the one reporting. I'm just here to see, like, I'm supervising him. I can't tell him he can't, like, to not do anything. So but she's talking to him like, I don't believe what the lady is saying either. Like, it's other people out here. No one else is saying that this child was playing out here for all these minutes, and well, everybody knows them. Like, no one would let the kids stay in the street for 15 minutes.
And
so he's going on, and he's like, I don't know, I might have to do the thing. So my husband's like, well, if you're gonna arrest anybody, you're not gonna arrest her. You can arrest me, and I'll take whatever charge you're gonna try to put on me, and I'll take care of it. So he finally says, because she's talking to him, the woman cop, she's talking to him, and she's like, well, maybe you should talk to the DA first and see if he would even pursue these charges. So she's basically telling him, like, listen, this is a big nothing burger. Like, you're gonna do all this and have to do paperwork for what? So he's
Uh-huh.
like, well, I'm gonna take you guys' information. So he calms down. So my husband was like, you're gonna have to talk to the DA. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to the DA and then find out what's gonna happen. And if he wants to pursue it, we'll have to come back and take you down to the station. He was like, hold on a minute. So my husband gets in the car and he drives around the block, because what this cop doesn't know is we know the DA. So
Okay.
he went to where the DA is, and he tells him everything. So the DA calls and gets in touch with them while they there. And like,
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna pursue that. Like, no, kids run in the street sometimes. If they were out there, he wasn't unsupervised. He's small. Kids run out. They don't know. So the guy goes back. So nothing happens after that. The guy goes back to the police station and he calls my husband and apologizes. But had we not known people, it's a small town, but had we not known these people personally, we would have gotten arrested for that.
Yep.
Wow.
Because some Karen decided to lie and say my kid was outside unsupervised in the street for 15 minutes.
And where was
Wow.
she?
She was driving.
I mean, all this time. I mean, where was she while this was happening?
Oh no, she says she drove up and saw him in the street, so she stopped and watched him in the street for 15 minutes. With no backed up traffic. Mind you, we lived on a pretty busy street. So if this kid is just in the street and nobody got him out of the street for 15 minutes, you know how much traffic would be backed up?
Right,
And you
another car would have shown up. So Karen is parked on the side, waiting for the police to come and watch all this interaction?
right, right.
And by this time, you grabbed your son and what, you went back in the house or you went to the back of the
Yeah,
yard?
I went back into the backyard.
And then next thing you know, 15, 20 minutes later, here come
No,
the police.
no, it didn't take that long because it's a small
Mhm.
town. So in about five to 10 minutes, yeah, the police showed up.
You know, I don't even know why the police didn't even ask these type of questions.
Oh, because it's black people. Of course, we're negligent. We didn't know this guy. He was new to the force, so we didn't know him.
Now, I don't know the law or anything, but aren't you supposed to take statements?
Oh no,
And
he told
then
the neighbors of ours that were willing to give statements and telling him she's lying. He told them, well, y'all have to go to the police station and make a statement. Like, he wasn't taking their statements.
how can you arrest when there's no actual situation going on? I don't understand that. I could see if they pull up and see this happening and say, hey, how dare you? But how to knock on your door or look for you? Hey, you know what? We got a call that this happened. So we're going to arrest you. Come on down with us.
Right now,
How does that happen?
I can give you a contrasting story for those who still say, "Oh no, maybe you did this, maybe you did that." We know we hear those arguments, right?
Yes.
So around the corner from my house at the time, I don't live there anymore, but there was a woman. She lived in an apartment on the second floor, a white woman. She left the apartment and left her child inside the apartment while she went downstairs to smoke because she couldn't smoke upstairs. She went downstairs outside to smoke a cigarette, and her 18-month-old, I'm pretty sure the baby was under 2, pushed the fan out of the window and fell from the second story.
Mm.
The baby was in the hospital for months. He still has like seizures and stuff from the head injury.
Mm.
She wasn't arrested at all.
No
She
negligent
wasn't,
or anything,
yeah,
huh?
no negligence, no child endangerment. She got no charges whatsoever. They just said it was an accident to leave 18-month-old or whatever, to leave the baby in the house alone, awake on a bed where there's an open window.
Wow.
Wow. It's just what,
Right.
I'm just speechless.
right, like,
Well, maybe not, but yeah.
no, because you know what? Because this is exactly what happens.
Yeah.
Right? They say all of that policing that they should be doing for other people, and they take all of that and then they like project it onto us, right? So we're taking the burden of all of our crimes and wrongdoings and the burden of all of their crimes and wrongdoings, right? Like, because when they walk away from the building, here's the thing about bias. When you have a natural bias, right? So they have a bias against minorities, right? They have a bias against black folk. They show up to that place and there's a situation with, the majority demographic woman, not us, it's her, right? But this is an interracial building, so there are definitely blacks and minorities in the building. And they don't do anything about it. They walk away. Later on, in 6 months, what they think about that building is that a bunch of no count mothers live in that building. But they're not going to remember it as the dominant society woman is a no count. They remember it as us because they're biased against us. So they attribute a bunch of crimes and a bunch of wrongdoing, a bunch of bad attitude or filth or whatever to us, even though we're not there. And they've done studies that have proven that this is what happens with biased people. So it's fueling that because they are literally projecting it onto us. And then the next time they show up at the building, it's going to be, if they're being called there's a minority around, who's going to catch it? It's always us, right? Even if we didn't do anything
Right.
wrong.
Yeah. Boy. Okay. Um, I'm not for certain. Let me see. I don't know if I've shown this, but this is what our mayor is getting a big this happened when this was December, but we didn't find out about this till I think March, something like that. And this is what our mayor started getting a whole lot of hate mail and council Lori and all kind of stuff because of this that happened a few years ago. And I'll play it. I haven't got a chance to view it yet, but hopefully this works.
We want to turn now to a disturbing story. Police officers raiding the wrong home and handcuffing an innocent woman. It was first reported by Dave Savini of our CBS Chicago station, WBBM. It contains graphic video that the city did not want anyone to see.
I just gotten home from work. And while I was undressing,
Anjanette Young, a social worker, had just finished her shift at the hospital when 12 Chicago police officers raided her home.
and it happened so fast, I didn't have time to put on clothes.
She was completely naked, surrounded by all male officers.
And I'm just standing there. I mean, terrified, humiliated.
Young was handcuffed as the officers searched her home.
If I had made one wrong move, I felt like they would have shot me.
One police officer wraps a short coat around her shoulder, still leaving her front fully exposed. Young tells the raid team at least 43 times they are in the wrong place.
You got the wrong house! You got the wrong house!
WBBM's investigation uncovered police got it wrong because they took the word of an informant who said a felon with a handgun lived in the apartment.
Nobody lives here but me! Okay. You have to shout. I don't have to shout! This is ridiculous!
So, where was the target? Our investigation revealed he was awaiting trial on home confinement here at a different apartment in Anjanette Young's complex. How easy would it have been to locate him? Easy, real easy, because he was wearing a police tracking device. Police did eventually walk Young to a room so she could get dressed. It took more than 20 minutes for the officers to say this.
We believe your story.
Nearly 2 years after the ordeal, Young says she still hasn't been told if any of the officers involved have been disciplined.
They need to do the work, but they need to do it right.
Now, the city law department went to court to try to block our station from airing this video, but that judge ruled against them. Now, tonight, Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot publicly apologized.
Yeah, that was it. I used to love watching Channel 2. Just so crisp.
Well,
Just
here,
so
let me
crisp.
just answer first off, because she still doesn't know if any of the cops have been disciplined. Let me answer her first off and just say no, they haven't. Not
Oh,
not
of
one of
course
them.
not.
None.
I mean, come on now. Yeah, but go ahead.
Right, and it seems like Chicago is just as bad as New York. So I remember seeing a story out of Chicago where the cops did the same thing, a warrant that was sent to the wrong house. It was the same exact story. An informant told them something was going on in these people's house. They went and kicked the door in and handcuffed the whole family, including I think an 8 and 6 year olds were handcuffed.
Wow.
Yeah, that's necessary. The
And
6-year-old was filing.
you see how they told her to
Stop
they didn't say
shouting.
right. I mean, you got all this adrenaline, you got all these things going on, just human nature. And then
Right.
you're trying to control what that result is? You can't.
Yeah, because you're not supposed to have a reaction when you're being violated.
Oh,
No.
yeah. Of
Don't
course
make
not.
me uncomfortable while I'm violating you. Your yelling is uncomfortable.
Right. Mhm. Terrible.
It's disgusting. It-
Yeah, that's more the description is disgusting.
Yep.
And the
What makes
tracking device. I'm
that's what
sorry,
I
go
was
ahead.
gonna. Yes, that's exactly what I was gonna say. What makes it worse is they don't do their damn jobs. Okay, you don't do your job. How dare you tell this woman she should calm down when you didn't do your job? Because all you had to do is do a basic search of the name that you got,
Right.
and you would have known exactly where Buddy was and been able to track his movements over weeks to know that he had never been inside of that apartment. You
Yeah,
didn't care to do your job.
yeah, I don't get how the lack of communication, because if that's the goal to get the person, you don't have to go at night. You can wait in the morning. You can see if there's any movement, anything. But why don't you have that information about the person with the tracking device? That I don't get. Because I also said that I think they should, for the body cams, they should run on all day, except for when they go on break and lunch. That's it. That's the only time it's allowed to be turned off. Other than that, the whole shift, that bad fella should be on. You have it on for 24 hours when a person is have that bracelet, so
Right.
it should be on.
I agree. There's no reason why it should be on them. They keep talking about how they're feeling for their lives, and these are adrenaline filled situations, and it's so hard to think in those moments. Then why do we have to rely on them, apparently so full of adrenaline, to press a button? Why can't it just always be recorded? Then they don't have to think. Then it's fine. There you go.
See,
Right, and
you
a lot
want
of
to control the narrative. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and a lot of these police officers, that's why I want to emphasize that they come from these rural areas, because another point to that is, like, for instance, here in New York, they all go to if you're outside of New York City, they go to the police academy in Albany. After you go to the police academy in Albany, you can pretty much choose which police department you want to work for. And a lot of these people choose black areas. because they want to go where the action is.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
They want to be in situations where they could pull their guns out on people, where they could kick people's doors in. They want that. They, like wild cowboys.
The action is like, think about that's like it's like they see life, and more importantly our lives, like it's an action movie, right? Like, ooh, I want to go where I can pull out some guns and some tasers and hurt some people, get some people. It's like zombie kills, right? Like, that's
Right.
what they think of us. We're just like another, we're like a creature. They want to have some kills on the record.
Right. In the words of the great Cerulean Gray, is big game hunting. They look at us like any other animal that they hunt.
Yep. Yep. Disgusting but true. And see, they know it's disgusting. That's why they won't admit it. Right? Because they know they're disgusting. But, they admit it, then someone might do something about it. So they're just going to keep pretending that it's other things. In fact, I have a throwback story, if you don't mind, Char. I have a throwback story.
Sure.
From this is a little while ago. I don't have the full video. You're just gonna see like a little clip of it. But I will, after the stream's over, in the comment section, I'm gonna post the video that I did that plays this full video, because I actually did do I covered it in something, and I can't remember exactly which one of my videos I covered it in, so I have to go through it and look. But as I'm opening, I'll tell y'all. Do you guys remember? So it's the story of the woman who called the police on her white neighbor because her white neighbor had choked out her 7-year-old son. Don't remember that?
Not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Okay, I'll give y'all the details before we look at the video. So basically what happened was this. The white neighbor, this guy, you might see flashes of it in this, but like I said, you'll see the full video. I'll post it afterwards. Says that the 7-year-old had littered on his lawn. Now by littered, he meant dropped some raisins on his lawn. So the neighbor tried to demand for the 7-year-old to pick up the raisins. The 7-year-old said, A, no, B, they're not mine, which is why he said no. So because the 7-year-old did not comply, this neighbor choked this little kid out. So now he goes home bawling his eyes out to mommy. So mommy calls the police because that's assault on a small child. This seems like it should be cutting at this point, right? I mean, it's reasonable. A grown man assaulted a 7-year-old boy. We should have no argument here. So the cop shows up, said, what happened here? Right? And so the woman explains, exactly what happened. And so this cop doesn't ask anything to the neighbor. He asks the kid, he goes, well, why'd you litter? And the kid said, I didn't do it. Right? He's like, well, I don't think he would just choke you for no reason. Okay. So now the mother gets aggravated because someone has assaulted her 7-year-old child. She's called the police so the police can arrest and charge the man who assaulted a 7-year-old child. Not what happened. So I'm going to show y'all first these little clips, and I'm going to tell y'all what his reasoning was for what he did afterwards. So we're going to learn what his justification was. And yeah, okay, so first let's just take a look at this little mini clip. Like I said, the actual encounter is a lot longer. I will find it for you guys and put it in the comments. But
for the first time, we are seeing and hearing from the Fort Worth police officer in the middle of a scandal over his arrest of a mother and her 2 daughters back in December. Officer William Martin says it had nothing to do with race. He gave his side of the story in a video obtained by NBC5. Our Scott Gordon is following this story for us. Scott, what's the update?
Well, Brian, the video shows the officer being questioned by internal affairs investigators. This all started with another video, the one of Officer Martin responding to a dispute between neighbors. A man complained a young boy littered in his yard. The boy's mother, Jacqueline Craig, claimed the neighbor choked her son. The officer asked the mother why she didn't teach her son not to litter and suggested the neighbor had the right to grab the boy. Ended up arresting the mother,
See the gun in his back?
Craig, and her two daughters.
Oh!
In the internal affairs interview, Officer Martin said the mother seemed angry from the beginning. And he added, he's got something against people who litter.
Littering is kind of one of my pet peeves. Just like people driving without insurance. You know, if I pull somebody over and they don't have insurance, they're going to take it. Okay. It just drives me nuts when I see somebody throw a McDonald's bag out of a car when they're going on the freeway.
Martin was suspended for 10 days. Charges against the mother and her daughters were dropped. The neighbor was later cited for assault. Brian?
Thank you, Scott. Meanwhile, a separate investigation into who leaked Martin's body camera video and discipline records continues.
The longest.
Did y'all hear
that? You got a leak on the body camera. You ain't want that out.
So whoever leaked that is going to get a much harsher reprimand than he did. 10 days? Why does he still have a job?
The man has some mental illness. Oh, I have this is my pet peeve. No, you have some mental illness if you're attacking people. Just because you doing it with that uniform on, that doesn't give you leeway. No, something's wrong with you. You need some help, son, and you don't need to be on that police force. You're out here with people's lives in your hand. Gee.
Right. Now I'm going to show y'all from the other perspective. This is a little clip from the person who was recording, because this is the video that came out first. And this is the video that made them do something. Okay, because that woman and the daughter and the son, I think the son was released right away, and the other two of them, they stayed in prison for a few days. But this became viral and forced them to move. So they released them, like said, no charges, right? Because ultimately this woman didn't do anything. And the reason why the family got upset is because now he's threatening to arrest them. Like, I called you because someone assaulted my 7-year-old. You haven't even looked at that man. You haven't done anything to that man. And you are threatening now to arrest me and my family because our child was assaulted and we called you for help.
Right. And we can't overlook the fact that if that was the neighbor, he sure looks white to me.
Very white. He is like hit white. Like, he's white. Okay. I'm sorry. I understand stereotypes, blah, blah, but he's white. There's no arguing that. So let's take a look at it from this perspective. Like I said, this is a short clip, and this is after. You have to see how disrespectful. Wait till I post it, and I'll let y'all know the minute mark. Y'all have to see how disrespectful everyone is towards this mother. Like, it's from the second he shows up on the scene, you know he's not going to do anything. You know it's going to end badly from the second he gets there. It's so, it's gross. It's disgusting. Okay, let's watch.
Tonight, this arrest, caught on camera, is sparking outrage in Fort Worth, Texas. Jacqueline Craig, seen here, says she called police Wednesday to report that a neighbor had grabbed her son's neck for littering. The video begins after the officer arrives and shows him speaking with the neighbor, but then questioning Craig about her parenting.
Don't put your hands on my son.
Why don't you get your son not to litter?
He can't prove to me that my son littered. But it doesn't matter if he did or didn't. It doesn't give him the right to put his hands on it.
Why not?
The exchange.
Why not? Why not?
Craig and several other women begin screaming at the officer before he takes 3 of them into custody.
I just felt like I didn't get justice for what I called for, basically.
The video has been viewed more than 1 million times on Facebook. It's unclear what happens during at least 3 gaps in the recording.
It was not edited in any way. If someone messages or calls in the middle of the FaceTime beat, it just skips a beat.
Fort Worth police now saying, we acknowledge that the initial appearance of the video may raise serious questions. We ask that our investigators are given the time and opportunity to thoroughly examine this incident. Tonight, the unidentified officer has been placed on restricted duty pending investigation. And Jacqueline Craig's out of jail, back with her family. Gabe Gutierrez, NBC News.
Just imagine that.
Same thing. Investigation. Yeah. Yeah.
But there were the words, you're going to piss me off. So you're going to make me upset, and I'm going to abuse my power, and I'm going to teach you a lesson.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's hear. This is what they really think of us, okay? Because this woman said, "You can't prove to me my son did litter, but even if he did, doesn't give that grown ass man a right to put his hands on my 7-year-old." And the cop said, "Why not?" Where's the
Right.
answer? What do you mean, why not? Because it doesn't? Because there's a crime in your in your law books called assault, whereby if you put your hands on someone in an aggressive manner, it's a crime. He wasn't
Right.
defending his life. He attacked a child. This is a 7-year-old kid. We're not talking about like a 14-year-old. Right? Not like I'm saying it would be okay if it was a 14 to 16-year-old who's like, 6 feet. I'm not saying it's okay. But I'm saying if that was your argument, technically this is a kid, but it's a 15-year-old who's tall for his age and whatever. This is a 7-year-old. This is a kid.
Right.
This
And,
is
and
a
and don't
kid.
you teach children? Isn't that what we're supposed to do?
Right.
So why
Right.
don't
So
you
now,
tell them, hey, don't do that. You don't litter. Pick that up. How about that?
right?
No,
Oh, like,
something wrong
excuse
with the
me?
dude. Something wrong with him though. He has a mental problem
Oh, yeah.
besides the ego and all of that.
Yeah, it's called white mental illness. Think white people could do whatever the hell they want, and you're not supposed to respond. That's the mental illness he has.
Period. And remember, the daughter got arrested because first she was trying to calm her mom down,
Yeah.
and then trying to talk to the cop, but she's crying, so obviously she's yelling now, right? And you're not allowed to yell at him. So not only did he slam her on the ground, but if y'all notice that he tased her. You saw her foot shaking. He tased her before cuffing her. The daughter that got arrested, who's walking now in her bare feet and clearly home clothes, right? Because she came outside because someone assaulted her kid brother. You tased a young woman. She's barely an adult. You tased her and handcuffed her because someone assaulted her 7-year-old brother. She didn't do anything. Notice these people didn't do anything. They didn't hurt anybody. They didn't hit nobody. They didn't nothing. They didn't threaten the cop. They actually didn't do anything. And they got arrested. So basically the crime was not worshiping the cops, would be, how dare you call the police on white people? Know your place. That's it. That's it.
I'm getting more and more angry. We're gonna wrap up in about 15 minutes. Lady Neek, did you have another encounter with police you would like to share?
I can't come up.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Okay, my bad. I could not unmute my mic.
Okay, there you go.
Good job.
Always me with the technical difficulties. So I have another story. It didn't really involve me, but a couple friends of mine, we all went out. It was a bunch of us. It had to be about 11 of us. We went out. This is when I was still in New York City. So we're coming on the way home. We get in cab, right? So in one cab, it was about 5 people. In another cab, 4 people. So we split up and took different cabs. The one cab with my friends in it was 5 of them. So one had to get in the front, obviously. The cab driver grabbed her boob. The cab driver grabbed her boob. So my friends jumped him. They beat him up. So this is a white Hispanic man driving the cab. The cops come. They all get arrested for jumping him. So they get arrested. They go to the police station. Now we go to the police station to see what's going on with them. And the cop is like the cop at the desk is going crazy. Oh, these effing niggers, and why can't
Oh.
they keep their kids out of the street? Because at the time we were in our teens, we were 18, 19, from 16 to like 22. We were all different ages. So he's like, why can't they send these little mother effers to school? And he's just going off. So one of my friends are like, what are you talking about? Like, four of them are in college. Like, we're in school. He's like, imagine this. I don't have money to send my kids to school, and these niggas can send their kids to school, but can't keep them out of the street. Yeah, it was disgusting.
Wow.
And he's inside the police station. We're not in the street. He's in the police station, surrounded by police. There's some superiors in there,
Uh-huh.
and this is how they talk. So, and that brings me to, even when they tell you comply and deal with it later, deal with it with who? They think like this. This is just the culture of the police.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just what it is.
Well, I'll ask you first, Lady Nee. Do you have any ideas? I don't know how much you caught earlier, but do you have any ideas of some things that can change possibly or need to change? Any ideas?
What needs to change for me is I really think we as Black people in general, Black women in particular, mothers in particular, we do need to start directing our children into the things they need to do. Uh, and I am wholeheartedly with teaching your children that they should police where they live to
Mm-hmm.
give us more control over the interactions between police officers and people in the community. And shout out to the initiative, Cerulean Gray. If people haven't gotten that, I can't drop it. I don't have a wrench. I would have put it in the chat for anybody who wants to read that, and I support that wholeheartedly.
Give me
We
1 second. I'm
really
looking for you.
need to start taking control of our communities and stop allowing these outsiders to come in and terrorize us.
I
But
can't
we
find
also,
you in the chat room.
oh, hold on, let me say something. I haven't been typing in there.
Yeah, we're having a
And
great discussion, and I was there we go. So I did Emmanuel and someone else because we had a couple extra folks. So I'm like, okay, I'm getting a little bit more attention here, so I better add some more.
all right, so I'm gonna drop that in there. So but I definitely think that is certainly something we need to do, that we have full control over, but we also need to condition our children to not just go along to get along. It
Yeah.
does us no good to have Black police officers that fall in line with the dominant power structure that treats us like crap.
Yeah. Well, I was saying something that the guys was talking about last week, and there was a part of a video I saw where the officer was measuring the drugs and stuff, and I'm like, that's a little bit much. They don't need to be doing that. And I know that is a very strong statement to say what they don't need to do, because in those type of statements I normally don't make. But in this instance, for change, they can remove that particular part of their job. You don't need to have a scale and measure nothing. You good. Just bag up everything that is found. Take them to the police station, and there is where it can be measured, monitored, whatever you're going to do to it,
Right.
tagged and bagged. That's it. Take the person and the items. You don't need to do all that. I think that's giving them a little bit too much. just a little bit too much. Let them concentrate on one thing at a time.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, they're not great at multitasking. Constantly fearing for their lives because they can't pay attention to what's in front of them to see that nothing fearful is happening. So, yeah.
Right. And you can give your closing statement, Ruby, and then we're out of here.
All right. Listen, and people are not probably gonna fully agree with me, but hear me out till the end. So, first thing I'm gonna say is this: it's something that I was told when I was young, by my cousins when I first stayed in Brooklyn for an extended period of time. They told me that I was basically spoiled living in Canada. So now I'm in America, and I have to live above reproach. That is to say, and this is what I said, we can't have a tail light up. We can't speed. We can't this. We can't that. You know, land of the free, home of the brave. Totally get it. You know, your rights and liberties and freedoms, and it's not fair. Life is not fair. The reason why I say we should live above reproach, it's not just a precautionary protecting yourself measure. See, here's the thing. If every time you get pulled over, you can prove A, no, this was faulty over to begin with. They're just targeting us. And B, there was nothing for them to find, right? When they plant something in our car, that's not mine. And you know what? The first thing we do, we have a GoFundMe, some type of fund there for them to fingerprint it because our fingerprints aren't on it because it's not ours, right? You live above reproach. Why? Because if we can get tens of thousands of cases, tens of thousands of people who are demanding that body cam footage, whether it went viral or not, and proving their car was fully functional, they were at the speed limit. This is why the in-car cams are so important to prove what it is that you're doing and prove what it is that you're saying, prove what it is that your dashboard says if you're speeding or not, whatever, right? If we can prove that over and over and over again, right, then you have a large body of evidence, because this is not something I think that we're going to be able to change on a small level, on a, you know, oh, well, just my local police or whatever. It's got to be something that, you know, is brought to the Supreme Court. And, you know, they need an insurmountable amount of evidence for them to care to change anything. So that is my first concept. I know we talked about the cameras, but in case no one heard that before, I think that having, I mean, those little GoPros, they're not really very expensive and they can record like an entire day at a time. So, you know, having them in multiple places of your car, something that's facing towards your dashboard and out the window. So that way it sees your dashboard, it sees if you're speeding or not and whatever, and it also sees what's in front of you, something that's facing out towards the window, something that's facing back towards you. You know, again, cover yourself and protect yourself, right? We want them to have their body cam, but what if they forgot to turn it on? What if there's no one around with the cell phone? This is why you need to have that coverage on you all the time. The third thing I think, and this is probably going to be the hardest thing because we don't come together and unify the way we need to. But there was, and I can't, someone's going to have to give me the information, but I remember seeing, I believe it was in New York, somewhere like New York, could have been Chicago, but I think it was New York, where there was a time where Black folk got together and they created basically their own little mini police, basically just to protect Black folk, walk them to from trains, and just make sure that nothing bad or amiss was happening. I think they had red hats. I think they might have been called the red hats. I can't remember exactly. But having people that we can call that are not the police to help us diffuse situations, to help us get out of situations, to help us take care of things. So we're not calling police. The amount of stories I have, y'all, I didn't even tell a tenth of them, of stories of women who called the police for help because something was happening to them, and they ended up shot and killed, or shot and on life support, or shot and paralyzed. It's astronomical. We need to be able, now that being said, if you really don't have a support system and something bad is happening, where else do you call? You know, just like we need our own mental health support systems. In Canada, and my mom just started actually doing her placement for her master's there. But they actually have a program very similar to my dream that I said that I wanted to start, but it's for young people. So from, teenager to, I think it's 24, 25, and they provide free psychological help, free legal help, free any type of help that you need that way. And we need more of that because we need to be able to provide our people with psychological services, with emergency psychological services. So when someone feels like they're losing their mind, they need help, they need to get to an institution, something like that, they have somewhere to call other than the police. In essence, what I'm saying is we need to minimize the role of the police in our lives, and we need to minimize our necessity in ever calling them, because a lot of the times that they are interacting with us and we're innocent and something terrible happens, it's because we called them, because we needed them. So we need to take away our need for them. That's going to take away a portion of our interactions. And the least that we interact with them, the better.
Okay.
And of course, the insurance. We went over the insurance.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm typing in chat room that we're going to continue to have these type of panels, men and women, and we're going to show these videos and we're going to give our ideas as well as putting things together. So it's just not lip service. We're going to keep having it until we get some change, and until you get tired, because sometimes that's what it takes. Until you actually see it over and over and you get tired, then that's when you'll do something. So thank you so much for those that participated. Thank you for those in the chat room. I appreciate your support, your likes, your shares, all of that, your donations. Thank you so much. We'll be back on just the regular schedule for next Friday with the regular Advice Channel show, 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And the panels, I'm not sure if they're going to be monthly, but whenever they are, I definitely will let you guys know. And thank you again so much for your support. I ask that you do share the video, the men and the women's panel, so it can get out there so someone can see it. When I do Twitter and Facebook, I always do the hashtag police and stuff like that. So I ask that you guys do the same so it can start circulating. And hopefully we'll get more people involved. If you know people, I always say JustAskChar@gmail.com. You can always give me an email. I do appreciate it. So again, thank you everyone, and hope to see you next week. And I hope you have a good week. And until next time, peace.
Cheers, y'all.
Bye, everybody.